Today's video kicks off a new series on this channel called the Dollar Tree Challenge. So basically we're gonna go to a high-end store. Today we are going to Pottery Barn, get loads of inspiration, and then we are headed over to the Dollar Tree to see what we can DIY for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. For the first project, we will be making a seashell vase. While in Pottery Barn this last time around for summer, they had a lot of coastal inspiration and seashells. And while you probably won't find a seashell vase at Dollar Tree, what you will find is some glassware and bags of seashells. For the glassware that I chose, it had to follow kind of the natural contour of a seashell. So I wanted something that kind of tapered at the top and at the bottom and kind of bigger in the middle. So I started out at the top. I spray painted the vase white first, so it'd be less noticeable if there was a gap in there, and then I just took my hot glue gun and I glued all around the perimeter of the inside of the seashell. And you basically just want to create this sort of like scalloped look. I primarily focused the smaller shells at the top and the bottom of the vase and keeping the larger shells where the vase was at its widest. So that way it kind of just feels like it follows the natural silhouette of this glassware piece. Before applying any hot glue, I would just test out the shell first and then see if it would fit right in that specific spot, and then I would apply the hot glue inside of the shell. I followed all of those steps until the vase was completely covered in seashells, and I think that this is a nice way to infuse some of that coastal inspiration I was seeing at Pottery Barn, but for only $4. Next up, we will be making a faux potted fern. So one of the things I noticed when I was at Pottery Barn was this faux potted fern for $59. At Dollar Tree, they have quite a few variations of ferns actually. So it's not this one shown here. This one looks really cheap and really fake, but this one over here is really good actually. So I picked up just one of those because the other one I found at the thrift store for just 25 cents. Now we need something for the ferns to sit inside of. So I just did a bowl that I had on hand. You could of course use bowls from the Dollar Tree, but I'm just saving a little bit of money here and using something I already had. And going through my stash of spray paint, I decided to start off with this stone spray paint, and then I applied a little bit of this sea glass amber paint. So I dusted that on the bowl, and then I went in with some high heat matte black spray paint to finish it off. And to add some distressing, I'm going to take a combination of green, brown, and black to almost get like a moss-like color to distress the top of my bowl. I mixed 2 parts brown to 1 part green and just a hint of black to get this color here. And for application, I'm just going to use something really simple like a paper towel kind of crumbled up that's just slightly damp to give it that aged and distressed quality. Once all of the paint had dried, now it was time to add our ferns. So for the ferns to be able to stay in place, I needed some form of styrofoam. So I just picked up 1 bag of these styrofoam balls at the Dollar Tree, left 1 hole, cut the other 2 in half, and I hot glued those down inside of my bowl. And now it's just time to cover it. So I picked up these stones from the Dollar Tree. 1 bag will do the trick. And I just simply hot glued these in place until no more styrofoam was showing through. And this was the end result. I think I was definitely able to achieve a somewhat similar look to the Pottery Barn version, and was of course so much more affordable. Next up, we will be making some frosted candle holders. So Pottery Barn had a lot of different options for frosted glassware, especially for the spring and summer months. So to start, I'm gonna take a taller hurricane vase from the Dollar Tree as well as a shorter one. Also from the Dollar Tree, I picked up 2 of these pink kind of fluted tapered candle holders as well as a few bags of sand. I'm going to use some frosted glass spray paint for the hurricane vases, and just in case the sand didn't totally cover the tapered candle holder, I decided to just dust on some white spray paint so it would be less noticeable, and I didn't want any like pink showing through in the hurricane vase. So I gave it about 2 coats of some frosted spray paint, and I wanted to just do a little something to the top of the hurricane vases. So if you have rub and buff, I would say this would probably be an easier option to do, but I only had some metallic gold spray paint, so I'm just using what I already have. For the metallic gold spray paint, I'm just gonna spray a little bit into the cup, taking a foam brush from the Dollar Tree and just slightly dipping it into the cup, and then just lining the perimeter of the hurricane vase with this metallic gold spray paint. Again, just to embellish it a little bit further. I think it makes it look a little bit more high-end doing this. And once the tops of these hurricane vases were complete, I placed the tapered candle inside of the hurricane vase as well as a candle, just so that way sand would not get inside of the hole where the tapered candle needed to sit. And this is how the hurricane vases turned out. I also made a vase version of this project if you don't want to go through the sand and the tapered candle, but I think that this trio looks really nice and fresh for summer, and it was so affordable. One thing that Pottery Barn tends to carry basically year-round are bowls of faux succulents. And these can oftentimes be quite expensive. So one thing you can do is go to the Dollar Tree, grab a bowl. I recommend using a bowl that is glass. And that's really just because it's hard to make plastic from Dollar Tree look high-end. So if you can, stick to the glassware side of things and you'll get a better end result. For this specific project, I actually only picked up the succulents at Dollar Tree because I already had a bowl that I thought would be perfect for this project that I thrifted a while ago. The number of succulents you choose will be totally dependent on how big your bowl is, but I needed about 6 for mine, so I just removed if there was a clip or a stem or whatever it was, just to make sure that it could be inserted into this bowl that I had. Now this styrofoam that I had was really thick in here, so I had to just pop a hole before I placed my succulents. To give my succulents a more realistic look, I decided to add some frosted spray paint to them just to kind of mattify them and make them look more real. After they were frosted, I just hot glued them in place, and this is how it turned out. Most of the pieces from the Shore Living line, I would probably say, don't necessarily resonate with high-end home decor, with the exception of a couple pieces. I think that this little bowl here can give you a nice texture in any room in your space, and basically it's just about how to use them, how to style them. So for the kitchen, because it is a small little basket, I think this would be the perfect thing to store some garlic in, maybe by your stovetop, and it just, again, adds this nice texture. You could also put it by your kitchen sink and place your sponge inside of here. You could place it in your bathroom with a really pretty bar of soap. You could place it in your office and place like paper clips and things like that that you might use on a regular basis. In the dining room, you could use these to place some dried goods, or you could also use it to store corks or things like that if you're having a dinner party. But I'm curious to know from you guys, how would you style these baskets in your space? One thing I love whenever I go to Pottery Barn is looking at all of the tablescapes with every holiday and every season. And there's really only one product I recommend from the Dollar Tree are these 100% cotton flour sack towels. So these are 36 inches long. So if you combine two of them, you have 72 inches, which can make a really great runner depending on the size of your table. So you can either sew these together or hot glue these together, whatever is your preference, and then you just want to take an iron to it. A styling tip I've learned from Pottery Barn is actually to take your table runner, instead of running it across the center of your table, to actually stretch it between two plate settings. And I think that that just feels really nice and creates a nice layer. You guys might remember these placemats I found at the thrift store for 25 cents a piece. The only plates I would recommend for summer are these plates here. I think they infuse a little bit of, again, that kind of coastal quality, but in a much more sophisticated way. You could add a little just neutral seashell to an existing napkin holder that you might already have if you want more of that, or you could scatter seashells in the middle of your dining room table. But I think that this is just a nice kind of simple layered look for summer if you happen to be hosting a summer gathering. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of frosted glass this season at Pottery Barn, and also a lot of nautical garlands. But as a quick side note, the only solar stake lights I recommend from the Dollar Tree are these ones. They give off the most kind of natural, not really blue light that typical Dollar Tree solar lights carry, and also the shape is really nice and modern. So I had about 12 of these ornaments left over from the holidays, and I'm just going to stick a kebab stick in them and give them 2 coats of some frosted spray paint, as well as just flicking on some white paint to kind of give this like salty appearance. After removing each ornament from the kebab stick, I grabbed 1 jute rope cording from the Dollar Tree. I started off by just tying 1 knot, and I kind of wanted to just evenly space these all throughout without having to cut anything off. So I just kind of aligned them to see how much space I was going to have to leave in between each one. And to create almost beads instead of ornaments, I needed to use my heat tool here. So I needed to create an opening at the bottom of each ornament to be able to slide each one through the jute cording. If you don't have a heat tool, this one I think was $10 on Amazon, but if you don't have a heat tool and you have a glue gun that gets really hot, you might be able to create the hole this way instead. So I just fed each one through the jute cording, and then I tied a knot after each one. And I'm also going to hot glue the top in place so it stays nice and put. Something similar to this at Pottery Barn can cost you almost $100, and the only new thing I truly had to buy for this project was the jute rope cording. So a really affordable thing. If you have some leftover ornaments, give a project like this a try. Earlier on in this video, I talked about how Pottery Barn uses a lot of distressed pottery in their home decor, and you can definitely create a similar look using Dollar Tree things. It's just going to require a lot of steps. So I started out with a glass vase that I spray painted, again, just in that chalky white spray paint, just to kind of level everything out and make my clay adhere better. So this clay also came from the Dollar Tree, and you only need a little bit, because basically the first thing we're gonna do is just create these little handles that you see on a lot of pottery pieces. I started out by just rolling out the clay, and then I just cut 4 equal sections and applied those on to this vase. With the basic structure done, it's just time now for some paint. I like this spray paint a lot because it gives like a super matte black, like even more so than like the flat. This still does have a little bit of a sheen to it, whereas this is like a completely matte black spray paint. So I love that. So I would just jump back and forth between like this one and this one, then this one, then this one, until I like got like a lot of layers on there. So with this one, you can tell it's like almost empty, but I think I'm gonna just dust it now lightly with this, and then we're gonna seal it. The last thing I did was I applied both flour and cinnamon to, again, just add to that distressed quality that you'll see of a lot in high-end pottery pieces. Definitely a very buildable project. You could add a lot of distressing or a little bit of distressing. It's totally your personal preference, but you should end up with something like this if you're like me and you like a lot of texture and a lot of layers. Pottery Barn tends to use a lot of olive stems in their floral arranging, but the ones from Dollar Tree are not the best. I will link down below in the description box my favorite. And this is how this project came together. It was, again, a lot of steps, but I still think I was able to save quite a bit of money because a lot of the things I already had on hand. For the coastal or nautical artwork, I'm gonna share 2 different options. The first being from the Dollar Tree, you'll need to pick up a canvas and a bag of seashells. Basically, what we're gonna start off by doing is just gluing each individual seashell kind of like equally distanced apart from each other. And then you're also gonna wanna grab white paint and spackle. I'm just gonna hot glue each individual shell onto the canvas, and then I'm going to apply my spackle and paint mixture over everything and pop it in an 11 by 14 frame I thrifted a while back. Another easier option for some wall art ideas is to take a wall art reproduction from the Dollar Tree and to cut it out from the canvas and add some gloss Mod Podge, and just kind of doing so with a brush to kind of make it almost look like an oil painting. I basically just made small X marks to give it that movement that you would typically see from an oil painting, and I popped it in, again, a thrifted frame that I've already had. And that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments which DIY project was your favorite, and let me know any other stores you would like to see this style of a video to, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye for now.